and welcome to the Beginner's Guide to Gamification, episode number 8!
This is Yukai Chow, Gamification Pioneer and Speaker.
And I am here to integrate you into the global and inevitable movement of gamification.
In the last 7 episodes, we have covered everything you need to know for Octalis' Level 1 gamification.
To make things a little bit more interactive, if you pick a project of your own liking and run an Octalis chart through it, and you send it to me at gamificationgosu@gmail.com, I will personally give you a recognition symbol if you do well and qualify you as a level 1 Octalis gamifier. This email address is not shared anywhere else on the web besides these videos. So consider yourself special and lucky.
Moving on to Level 2! In the next few episodes, we're going to be talking about the 8 core drives in detail. Each episode, we'll be covering one core drive. And this episode, we will be talking about our favorite epic meaning and calling. Epic meaning and calling is when people are doing something that's bigger than themselves, that they are doing something that brings meaning to their life, that they are called to do. One example is freerice.com. Freerice.com is a question and answer site where every time you get an answer correct, the site will donate 10 grains of rice to a third world country. And they do that because when you get answers right, you see advertisements, and the advertisers pay the equivalent of 10 grains of rice. So if you just have a site that have people answer questions, a lot of people don't want to do it. It's not as interesting. But because people know when they're answering these questions, they're actually feeding the poor, they're saving people's lives, that's why people want to play and they feel very good about playing. Again, there's an epic meaning and calling in the game. Another good example I mentioned before of epic meaning and calling is Wikipedia. People contribute to Wikipedia not because they get paid for it or because they can build their resumes or build a better status in any way.
People contribute to Wikipedia because they believe they help humanity. And that's it.
Another good example is Captain Planet.
Captain Planet turns protecting the environment into something that is epic and exciting. Of course, he's always combating villains with huge ambitions of polluting the environment.
Earth,
Fire! Wind!
water,
Heart.
with my powers combined.
I am
Yukai Chow is my hero. Gonna take boringness down to 0. Is on my screen, magnified, and is making all things gamified. Shh, don't tell anyone I did that. It's between you and me.
Epic meaning and calling can also be utilized by having people represent their group, whether it's their ethnic group, their country, or their religion or whatnot. That usually benefits people. If you feel like you're part of a bigger group, then you will do more things to secure the pride of that group or frustrate its rivals. So if you're taking a game and you're just like, oh, well, see how the Koreans match up against the Japanese, then obviously the Koreans are like, oh, we must participate because we are doing this for the glorious Korean group, right? And for websites like donation sites, like Kiva, they want to have the Christians versus the atheists compete with each other, see who donates more money to third world countries. And that's pretty smart. Those are really smart examples. You get people to think that now they're no longer just playing it for their own benefit. They are actually doing it for something they're proud of, like representing their group and their clan.
UCLA students believe they are being part of something bigger than themselves when they support their school against its rival, USC.
And they would do things that they would otherwise not do in other circumstances.
There's actually been a lot of research done in the group pride aspect of epic meaning and calling.
A hotel once did an experiment to try to get their patrons to recycle their towels each night.
Recycle their towels.
people recycle them. But if you put people from this hotel recycle their towels, more people recycle their towels.
The surprising thing is when the hotel puts up a sign that says 87% of patrons from that stayed at this hotel room recycled their towels, then what you see is a ton more people recycle their towels because they feel like they're part of that group. They're like, oh, well, if everyone in this hotel room does it, then I probably should do it too. And that by far drives the most action towards the desirable outcome. Even though staying at that hotel room is nothing really to be proud of, people associate themselves to that group and automatically assign themselves to the pride of that group, and they want to uphold a higher standard of sustainability.
Ethic, meaning, and calling is best during onboarding.
Because it's to install a higher sense of meaning into a picture, it usually needs to happen at the very beginning in a player's journey. So when they're learning the tools, learning how things work, that's when you install the epic meaning. Just like in a game, when you first start the game, that's when they say, oh, this demon is destroying this world. You need to go defeat the demon. See, the epic meaning and calling always comes at the beginning of the product.
Narrative is one of the best and common ways to introduce epic meaning and calling into the onboarding process.
Just like I talked about, the best way to install that epic meaning and calling into people's heads during onboarding is using narrative, telling them a story, showing them some graphics, give them a little comic with words below it, and teach them to create that narrative that introduces a higher meaning and purpose.
You'll pay for this, Yukai Chow!
In episode 6 and 7, I also talked about how Waze uses epic meaning and calling by making people feel like they are beating this monster called traffic together and outsmarting this traffic monster. Now there are examples where you can fail in trying to use epic meaning and calling too.
How does it make any sense?
Well, sometimes a company can introduce a sense of epic meaning and calling, but it's presented in a way that's really, really corny, or that it's something that's obviously benefits the game maker. And you say, hey, you know, you're saving the world, you are being a knight, and people aren't convinced. They're like, cut that BS, man. You just want to make more money. Like for instance, if you play a game and it says, for every $10 of virtual goods you build, humanity will be better. No one's gonna really buy into that. It sounds stupid and lame. You're like, wow, my epic meaning and calling is paying for this company. Of course, then the way to turn that around is say, hey, you know, 80% of the money you put in is contributed into charity, and that's how you correctly install epic meaning and calling. The last thing to cover in the epic meaning and calling core drive is the calling part, which creates an entire spectrum of game mechanics you can introduce. Calling is when you make people feel someone is uniquely destined or appropriate for something, and so they obviously don't want to give up for anything that they were made for. One example is beginner's luck, and we all know that works really, really well in gambling. For instance, if you just start playing a game and you suddenly, by luck, got a super powerful sword that a lot of people can't even get after playing the game for a year or 2 years, you'll consider yourself super lucky, and chances are you're not going to quit the game on the first few levels. You're going to be using that sword to level up faster and show off to other people until, you know, you hit the next hook.
It is my destiny to use this product.
Using epic meaning and calling is an amazing way to take full advantage of white hat gamification and let your users have an epic experience. Woo!
So this concludes the Beginner's Guide to Gamification, episode number 8!
That's all, folks!